readers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire Books, and this is the month where I'm going to try out my very first readathons. I'm going to try 2 this month, but the first one is IndigAthon, and I'm really excited about it. I try to read a variety of books, but I know that I do not read enough books by Indigenous authors, and IndigAthon is dedicated to reading the works of Indigenous authors. So what better way for me to expand my reading repertoire than to participate? I don't have a ton of experience with readathons, but it's also really clear already that this one is super well put together by 2 people named Brody and Michelle. They both have their own YouTube channels that are really cool that I have linked in my show notes. A lot of thought has clearly gone into making this readathon accessible, and basically the idea is to look at this bingo board that I'm going to put on the screen really quick and try to read books that fit into the various categories. So it's a 9-space bingo board, and I'm going to just work through all the different categories and talk about what I was maybe planning to read for those. So the first category is intersectionality. So the idea is to read work that is not only by an Indigenous author, but by an Indigenous author who is also in another marginalized category. So for this one, I've chosen to read A Generous Spirit, selected work by Beth Brant. Beth Brant wrote short stories, essays, and poems. She was half Mohawk, half Scots-Irish, and later in her life, she came out as a lesbian. A lot of her work centers on sex positivity and pride in her heritage, and I'm really looking forward to reading what she has to say. The next category is new to you, which could really be anything, and I appreciate that. I kind of like to wander around in my reading tastes. But I'm going to go with They're There by Tommy Orange. I've just been hearing a lot of buzz about this book. It looks like it's really, really good. It's an ensemble book about a lot of different people with different backgrounds and different baggage and different challenges all coming together to one powwow. And it just seems like it's going to be a fantastic read. So that's definitely on my TBR for this month. The category after that is read something from someone other than the 5 civilized tribes. So I think the 5 civilized tribes are Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole. And so for this category, you choose work written by somebody outside of one of those tribes. So the book I've selected for that one is Winter in the Blood by James Welch. Welch's background is both Blackfoot and Aanenen, and the book is about the identity struggles of a Montana man whose community is in conflict with a neighboring white community. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in that book. It looks like it's going to be a brutal read, but also very interesting. Next is a category that I might skip, honestly, which is middle grade. If I have time this month, maybe I'll find a middle grade novel to read, but I'm just not feeling it right now, so I may not actually go for that particular category. Next is the free space, everybody's favorite space on the bingo board. So I think for this one I'm actually going to read is a memoir by a Cree man named McLeod called Mamaskatch. I've been to Uje-Bougamau in Quebec before. I found Cree culture very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to diving into a memoir that will tell me more about the Cree. Next category is a buddy read. I hope it ends up being a buddy read. I convinced my best friend at work to do a buddy read with me, and what we decided that we're going to try is Split Tooth by Tanya Tagaq. Tagaq is Inuit, and apparently Split Tooth is a highly literary, very unusual piece of writing that I'm hoping I'm really, really going to enjoy. She's also a throat singer, so I'm going to use Tagaq's work to double for the last category I was going to talk about, which is non-bookish media created by Indigenous people. I'll probably watch a documentary or something, but I'm definitely going to check out some of her throat singing music because that's something that I'm not that familiar with, and I'd really like to be. The next category is one called Other Than Us, and that basically means read a book that is by an Indigenous person who is not from basically North America. So for that one, I'm going to be reading Keri Hulme's The Bone People. It's a Maori story about exile and having a mixed heritage and healing and, you know, all different sorts of things that happen to a few different characters over time. And I'm looking forward to that book a lot. And I think it's going to be a really good read. And then the last book I'm going to talk about for this TBR is a group book called Heartbeat Braves. And it just looks like a really cute romance. So I'll definitely look forward to reading that one with everybody else. And it's a lot of books, but I'm also a teacher who has the entire week of Thanksgiving off. So what better way to spend it than making sure that I complete my TBR for IndigAthon. So I'm very excited to participate in this readathon. I've been really loving looking at other people's TBR lists And not only do I hope that I enjoy all the books that I'm reading this month, but also that I get a lot of reading ideas from other people who are also participating. And once again, readathons like this don't take place without other people putting a lot of work in. So do check out Michelle and Brody, whose channels are linked in my show notes, because without them, I would never have thought to look at all of these different books. And I think I'm in for a fantastic reading experience. Happy reading, everyone.